Hi, I'm Sharon Calvert, and I'm with Eye on Tampa Bay. Earlier this year, our Hillsborough County Commissioners created another committee to tie economic development and transportation together. And as part of this process, they held a public forum last Tuesday, August 6th. The Eye was there, we captured some video, and we'd like to share that with the residents and taxpayers of Hillsborough County. For transparency purposes, I'd like to give a little bit of background regarding the transportation issue, a little bit about my background, and especially with regards to it in Hillsborough County. In 2010, I helped to co-found a political action committee, No Tax for Tracks, and we were formed to oppose the 2010 sales tax referendum for light rail. And we helped to defeat that referendum in 2010. In 2011, I was honored to be invited by then House Transportation Committee Chairman John Mica to testify at a Transportation Committee stakeholder meeting in DC. I was the only person there representing the taxpayer. In 2013, we formed an organization, Citizens Organized for Sound Transportation, of which I am a spokesperson for. And we are an advocacy for cost-effective, flexible, and efficient transportation solutions in Hillsborough County.
Yes, sir. Tell me what your rationale for it too. There are no right or wrong answers, folks. I'm just trying to understand the perspective.
Sure. Before I give my answer, I did want to say our county did have a referendum on a previous plan, and it was resoundingly defeated that we didn't want to have increased taxes for more transit options.
So in Hillsborough County, committees continue to be formed and studies continue to be done, and a lot of planning organizations continue to plan and update their plans. But with regards to the transportation issue, there was a formal official survey that was done in 2010, especially with regards to building out a light rail system in Hillsborough County. And the results of that 2010 referendum, that again was to predominantly build out a light rail system, the result was an overwhelming and resounding no, where over 58% voted against it and less than 42% voted for it.
Anybody give it a 5?
I do.
Oh, okay. I saw you first.
How about if we all stand up?
Five, stand up!
Get it.
Yeah, all the 5 stand up.
All right, now you get the picture.
It's an honor to be the humble spokesperson for all the 5s out here tonight. I just want to take it back to a few years ago from somebody who came to Tampa Bay to tell us why things are the way they are here. The very conservative Republican governor of North Carolina, Pat McCrory, when he was the mayor of Charlotte, compared Tampa Bay to Charlotte, and he said, and he got all the lucky bucks together, all county commissioners and Chamber of Commerce people together, and said, you know what? We stack up pretty good. Corporation looks at moving to Tampa Bay, looks at moving to Charlotte. Bank of America, for instance, why did we get them and you didn't? Because we stacked up pretty evenly. We're very comfortable in a lot of ways, except for transportation. We made the hard choices. You have not done that yet. We have a bus system that gets people to work. Corporations can come to our town and know that people can get to work on time. We have a light rail system in our town. We made those investments in our community. We made those investments in our economy. And when a big corporation with high-paying jobs looks at moving to Charlotte or Tampa Bay, they come to Charlotte, we whoop your butt every time, and we will continue to whoop your butt every time, Tampa Bay, until you make those choices and move ahead, try to keep up with us. And that is why a lot of people, Republicans, Democrats, Chamber of Commerce, environmentalists, union, you name it, we're all on board for this in our community because it is our biggest economic barrier to the county growth that we all want to see.
So that was Phil Compton, one of our local leaders of the Sierra Club. And he was asking the question whether Hillsborough County and the Tampa Bay area should emulate Charlotte. But here's 3 counterpoints to what Phil said with regards to Charlotte. First of all, Bank America, which is located in Charlotte, was originally NCNB. And NCNB Bank was always headquartered in Charlotte, and they were known for buying out many of the regional banks. And they actually did buy out Bank of America. And so what did Bank of America do? They remained in Charlotte, where they always had been located. The second point is with regards to the current unemployment rates in the county where Charlotte's located. And if you can look at the latest numbers available from the St. Louis Federal Reserve Bank, June of this year, the unemployment rates in Hillsborough County is 7%. But Mecklenburg, which is where Charlotte is located, is 9.4%. 2.4% percentage higher than Hillsborough County. So number 3, in all fairness, there was a great announcement and much fanfare earlier this year when it was announced that Metropolitan Life would be relocating a large number of their workers from higher cost northeastern cities to North Carolina. Now, North Carolina did provide almost $100 million of state and local tax incentives to get Metropolitan Life to relocate. And it's about 2,600 employees, but half of those will be going to Cary, North Carolina, and the other half, about another 1,300, will be going to Charlotte. But where exactly will they be relocating in Charlotte? Well, we went and looked at the map, and it's absolutely nowhere near one of the rail stations or transit stations in Charlotte. They're not relocating downtown, but if you did live downtown, we saw that it could be a 21-minute commute by car to get to the proposed new Metropolitan Life facility. However, if you did decide to take the bus, it was going to take probably about an hour and 15 minutes. And oh, by the way, that second line that just broke ground for their light rail in Charlotte, it's a 9.6-mile link that cost about $1.2 billion. Half of that was provided by the feds. And even those elected officials who've been for the light rail, they've even said that there's no further money to expand the service in Charlotte.
We need to offer choices other than cars. The young professionals, the business want to need want a choice. And teens and seniors need a choice. We need to have more one-car households so that they have more money to spend on other things. That will help our economy.
That clip was also from a member of the Sierra Club, and one of the things that she proposed was perhaps going to become a one-car household if you've got multiple cars. But there's a couple of points to consider. Already, people have been driving less, and we have much more fuel-efficient cars than we did even a decade ago. So those gas taxes, which are really user fees that you pay at the pump, originally intended for our roads, but those gas taxes also pay a huge percentage of our transit cost. So if you're driving less, there's actually less gas taxes to help subsidize the transit or the roads. But the other point is that if you do reduce from 2 cars to 1 car, you're probably saving some considerable amount of money. And if that's the case, then shouldn't you be paying the full and fair share of the fare box for transit? Because after all, paying your full and fair share is the right thing, isn't it?
And another 2? Sure. Yes, but no, wait a minute.
It's okay, we're going with 2 twos or whatever.
Yeah. Okay. Then we're going to go, let's see if there's only one in here anywhere.
All right, I disagree with the statement that they made, okay? The challenge we currently have is the county has no money to pave the existing roads that we currently have. And the biggest challenge is that they've already spent the money that's bonded out through 2026. And we have a problem with paving the current roads and the current system that we have. So as far as I see right now, putting the cart before the horse, i.e. let's build all this fantastic stuff into debt posterity, I find it quite foolish and to indebt them to something that may never work.
Leave it on. Leave it on.
Take one. All right, have a one. Have a one. Okay, we got a one, folks. Over here. Right there, one.
Yeah, there's one in every crowd, isn't there? The gentleman makes a good point. We don't have unlimited resources in Hillsborough County. I think the referendum a couple years ago underlined the fact that cost is very important to the people of Hillsborough County, and because we are improving in employment, but I don't think that's going to take our focus off cost in the county, especially when you're looking at transit, because a majority of the people are not going to use it. So you're going to have to be cost effective. Now, well, wait a second. You're going to have to be cost effective, so you can't do everything. You need to enter this process with the idea that we have to make up our minds. We have to tailor our solutions to the specific problems we find and not try to do everything.
So Joe and Ken bring up a couple of good points. Joe really brings it up from the revenue side, and he mentions that money from our CIT tax, a portion of that which was to go to road improvements, is no longer there. But yet we still have to maintain our existing roads and infrastructure. Ken brings up the cost side of the house. Cost is important. There is a limited number of funds, and we can't do everything. So we can't set unrealistic expectations. We've got to balance the cost and the revenue sources with other needs, both with transportation, education, public safety, our parks and recreation, our environment, and other things.
We really didn't want to hear from you. It was just a perfunctory thing.
I'm sure. Anyway, I think one of the things that I would say is that freedom is one of the key aspects of any capitalist economy. And when you come down to transportation freedom, that becomes to a question of whether or not you can get one place if you don't have a car that one day. Right. Or if it breaks, your freedom is inhibited by the system that we currently have. And so if we're going to think freedom is important, and that is something we value as a community, giving people multiple alternatives and options is important.
That was Kevin Thurman with Connect Tampa Bay. We all value our freedoms, and individual liberties and personal responsibility is inherent in our founding, as well as the freedom to move about. But how you move about and the choices that you make do not always need to involve or require a taxpayer-funded solution. Innovation is happening today in the private sector for transportation, and then we hope this committee will address those as well.
We have within the Tampa Bay region, you're talking about all the different counties, some amazing resources where entrepreneurs have started up businesses or sports teams have moved into certain areas of town, not in others. And those are economic engines. But when people can't get there, when they have to sit and try to go to a baseball game at 7 o'clock in bumper-to-bumper traffic because that's the only way to get there, I don't know how many lanes you have. That's not interconnectivity. Right. When I have an opportunity, when my sons have an opportunity, who've grown up in this area, know it quite well, have an opportunity to get a job, but it happens to be in Tarpon Springs, and they live on Davis Island or Port Tampa. And there's no way they're not going to spend 3 to 4 hours a day in a car, going back and forth. And I actually chose, when I moved here, when they were 3 and 4, to live on Davis Island because I knew that they wanted to play Little League. And if I got a job or bought a house in Carrollwood, and the only way to get to downtown was Dale Mabry, and it was fine, because it's a 3-lane road. Okay? We're talking about 2040, folks. I'll be dead. I don't care what we're doing in 2040. But what I do care about is that our young people are leaving this community because they can't find a job and they refuse to spend 3 hours of their day in a car. and miss their kids' baseball game because they don't live where they work. That's the reality. If they can't get a job in their own community, down the street from their house, they are limited in economic opportunity. And in this economy, we have enough barriers. We do not need to create more.
That was Kimberly, and she's also a member of the Sierra Club. And she talked quite a bit about, where you live and where you work. And she referenced, I believe it's her son, who lives on Davis Island. And that happens to be, I think, one of probably the wealthiest neighborhoods in our county. But he works in Tarpon Springs. And we did look at the commute, and it looks like maybe it's, 30, 35 miles from Davis Island, where he lives, to his job in Tarpon Springs. But currently, we know of no plan for any type of rail system or fast enhanced transit that will conveniently connect Davis Island to Tarpon Springs. We all balance transportation with other qualities of life for where we want to live and work. And we would never dictate, where you did live and work, but we can also suggest that you can move closer to where you work, or you could find a job closer to where you live.
How are you, ladies and gentlemen? My name is Carlos Cabral. My fellow commissioners, my fellow city council, there's not enough resources in Hillsborough County. Me, I have a disability. I can't drive or take medications. I depend on transportation. We need better transportation, especially with people with disabilities. I already contact Congressman Joel Soriano in the Bronx, New York. It's like that woman said, I am 33 years old. If there's not better transportation services or better services in Hillsborough County within 1 year, I'm gonna have no choice but to move back to the Bronx, New York. So please, my fellow commissioners, my Mayor Bachman, my fellow city councilors, please make the right decision to better transportation systems. Thank you.
That was Carlos, and he's a regular Heartline bus rider. And as you heard him say, he has a disability that prevents him from being able to drive. And we're certainly sympathetic to anyone, whether they're disabled or elderly or simply do not have a car, with the need to get to where they work or get to places they need to get to. However, Carlos also mentioned that, he may have to be moving if perhaps some enhanced services don't come soon. But we've got some great news here in Hillsborough County, because just recently in June, the Heartline Metro Rapid was launched, which is our first bus rapid transit. And that route actually runs from the Telecom Park down to downtown, which is about 17 miles. And it was built in less than a year, and it was built at a cost about $26 million, actually came in under budget, so some money came back to the county, at 1/60th the cost of the 2010 rail plan. So we hope that Carlos will stay here and stick around and, help to get those quick solutions built out, like expanding the Metro Rapid service.
Right, I'm going to first speak. I live in the downtown core, and I have been invested in downtown for at least 7 years, and I'm considering moving. And the reason I'm considering moving is there's no connectivity to the downtown areas. I can't get to Channelside, I can't get to Ybor easily unless I really get in my car. And we keep hearing promises of a tram. Well, one of the things is we have a rail, as far as the downtown core is that the rail goes to nowhere. It ends, too far away so that in the evening there's no way I'm going to walk to get to the end of it, to get to Ybor. 8 more blocks. All it would take is 8 more blocks of rail. It would get you to Zack Street. So that in alone would be one good option that only would take 8 more blocks of rail going up Whiting and Marion. And it would be a very easy solution. The other thing, I'm still crying in my ear of the fact that we don't have high-speed rail to Orlando, which would be the connectivity that I was really hoping for. But I'm also excited about getting bicycles where in the day I can ride to Ybor or down to, the bakery, and all the different options should be there. And we're building more condos and we're building more apartments downtown. People aren't going to fill them up if there isn't good options. So I'm just going to speak to the core.
And this was one of our downtown residents. And as you heard her speak, one of the things that she would like to see is that the trolley car get built out for about 8 more blocks. But we already have some issues with our trolley car. It's underwater financially, and the ridership has actually been decreasing rather than increasing. So we have a proposal, a couple of things actually. There's a new service downtown with bike sharing and new entrepreneurial transportation, and I'm sure they're looking for some business. But also, we had a few years ago some golf cart short hop providers that unfortunately were forced to close down, such as Hop Tampa. So again, we'd love to see that private enterprise come in, especially for those short hop trips downtown, whether you share a bike or you hop on a golf cart and go a few blocks. But we certainly think that would be much more cost effective than trying to build out the trolley car.
This is about, okay, I choose 3 because, you know what, I live here, and if a good transportation were important to me, I wouldn't live here, would I? The issue is very important to me, and I feel that we're missing out on opportunities for future growth in this community because we refuse to look at it. You know what we're a leader in? We're a leader in pedestrian deaths nationwide. And part of the reason for that is because we keep widening these roads. I don't know if any of you drive down Hillsborough Avenue all the time. And I'll see a young mother with 2 kids in tow, desperately trying to walk across that street. Meanwhile, cars are gunning to turn into that pedestrian lane. The reason is because of the way we have built this community. And it's like we got a bad haircut, but we just keep going to the same barber.
This particular speaker focused quite a bit on traffic. Almost any metro area of decent size in our country has transportation issues. And even communities that have a high degree of high cost and highly subsidized transit systems like DC and Atlanta have traffic problems. And in fact, it wasn't but just a few years ago that the DC Metro had a major accident causing fatalities. And as a result of that, because it was due to some maintenance issues, the federal government had to come in and bail them out at $1.5 billion of your federal tax dollars. And unfortunately, today we have a huge backlog, about $78 billion, we're told, of major maintenance that's needed just to maintain some of those existing rail systems, especially those older legacy systems. And the other item that she brought up was that, here in Hillsborough County, we seem to have pedestrian incidents or accidents, at a greater rate than some other places. But we have to remember that we got this great climate here, and we're outside all year round. We are out walking, we are out biking. A little different than, if you lived in Buffalo or Minneapolis or somewhere else up north where they may not be outside all year like we are here. So unless we get some of those road and safety improvements that really is backlogged at the moment, and we do promote more cycling and more pedestrian walking, then there's probably the likelihood that we're going to deal with, those fatalities, maybe even more.
Thank you. So the question is, one of the factors you personally would use to choose a community to live in, how important is a good transportation system? How many of us think that we'll have a problem competing with Detroit for people to move here? Anybody in that camp?
They were headed.
They went bankrupt. And just to kind of talk facts, the numbers in Hillsborough County, as far as our funding need, right? There's a spreadsheet in the Public Works Office. $3 billion in unfunded transportation improvements. Now granted, that's everything. If you take out the widenings, we'll call it that, or new roads, $200 million of that is what I think could be characterized as critical infrastructure. Bridge replacements. You know, bridges had a few problems with that around the country. Other things like lighting improvements, safety studies. So I bring this up because we have a duty as citizens, whether your choice is a Segway or a sidewalk that will get a handicapped person or a disabled person to where they need to be safely, without duress. Whatever your option is, we have to talk facts and numbers. We have to. So I just want to emphasize that. Okay?
So this is John, and we appreciated that he brought up that facts and numbers are important because sometimes they can be overlooked. And he highlights that our roads aren't going away. In fact, we have about 6,000 lane miles of roads in Hillsborough County. And the use of these roads aren't just for personal mobility, but they're also to move goods and services. Whether it's getting your shelves stocked at your local grocery store, or you need a plumber, or your pool service, or your carpet cleaner. Our roads are our highest utilized asset.
Hi, my name is Kevin O'Hare. I live in Puerto Rico. I'm 16 years old. And I'm here today because I care about my community. And everyone is here today because they care about their community. Regarding this question, I'm 16 years old. I'm going off to college student. Do I really want to go to USF? No. Not because it's USF, but because... not because it's USF, but because if I go to school at USF, I've lived in this community for 15 years, and I've lived in Puerto Rico, and if I want to go west, it takes me 35 plus minutes to go anywhere past State Road 60, anywhere. Going downtown Tampa takes me 35 minutes, while it takes everyone else in the county 20 to 15 minutes. What we need, and for my generation, and going on to other generations, and to bring more kids to schools like USF and UT, is the transportation system that's going to attract people, young minds like me, to come to this city and to bring their entrepreneurship with them. Mm-hmm. That's why we need more transport.
Well, this was probably our youngest person to speak here tonight, and so we always appreciate when the younger crowd shows up. But and this is a student from Valrico, and I guess one of the things that we'll have to just comment on his point is that living in Valrico, there is no rail going to Valrico, and even in the MPO's 2035 long-range transportation plan, which they're currently updating, there was a rail link plan to go into Brandon. But by 2035, and probably later, if this ever occurs, unfortunately our student will probably be about 42. So we all want economic growth and economic prosperity in Hillsborough County. And actually we want that for all residents in the county. But this committee is specifically trying to tie economic development and transportation. So I'd like to refer to what the Cato Institute stated in 2006 with regard to rail lines. A transit agency that expands its bus fleets gets the support of the Transit Operators Union. But an agency that builds a rail line gets the support of construction companies, construction unions, banks and bond dealers, rail car manufacturers, electric power companies, if they're electric powered, downtown property owners, and other real estate interests. So the question is, are we trying to increase mobility in Hillsborough County? Or are we looking to enrich developers and other special interests at taxpayer expense? So in concluding, we saw a variety of points of view at this public forum, and we certainly heard some compelling needs. Transportation and quality of life are all important aspects that we try to balance in our lives. And we all appreciate our freedoms and our mobility. But we also know that we have to maintain our existing infrastructure, our roads and our bridges. And we do need cost-effective, flexible, and innovative transportation solutions. So let's pursue expanding the Metro Rapid, and let's embrace some of those innovative private sector solutions, whether they be Uber or the bike share or Hop Tampa or Ride Command. Because if we pursue some of these, we'll be getting results now and not decades from now.